I don't know about you, but I have started to get the feeling that everybody has just decided to give up on the idea that there's anything newsworthy going on and just accept the fact that the entire news cycle sucks. Everyone's terrible all the time. Everyone's awful. That's it. Very weird what's going on out there. 22 days of a shutdown, everyone's like, I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. It's the Timeless from Ferry Otago. That's what we're smoking. Let's start the show. We could start with the fact that it's day 22 of the shutdown, but I know you don't care, so why start with that? We could start with another ICE attack from the so-called protesters. It was a spontaneous protest in New York. Sure it was, said no one ever. But you've heard all about the spontaneous protests, and you know they're not spontaneous, and you know that these Antifa folk are absolutely well-funded. And the more we can do to find out the funding mechanism of Antifa, the better off we are. These people are not just Americans who have disagreements. They're people who want to tear it all down, including America. I would argue quite clearly that they're not American. I didn't say they weren't by birth. I didn't say they didn't have the Constitution to fall back on. I do too. The difference is I want to preserve and protect the Constitution. They want to destroy it. We're going to pretend somehow that isn't the case? That seems nutty to me. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. 833-468-8669. 833. Got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the show. Maybe the big story, of course, is the ballroom.
On the White House ballroom, President Trump wants to build a ballroom for about $200 million, private donations, self-funding. What do you make of the project? Do you think it's a good idea? And do you think he needs some sort of congressional authority, as some Democrats are saying? What's your take on it?
Well, certainly the ballroom is very Trumponian, if you will. I know he's going to do it right. He's done an amazing job already. If you ever get a chance, ask the president how he's enjoyed redecorating the White House. He's got lots more photos of old presidents up. He's really redecorated quite a bit. So I know it's going to be done right. I think it makes sense. I've seen where they had their dinner, of course, when they're entertaining people. I think this will be one more added spectacular for coming for the
Senator Marshall, I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment. Are you telling me there's so nothing going on in the world that we can have detailed conversations about the importance of building ballrooms? Guys, I don't know what you're concerned about. Put your feet up. Smoke them if you got them. I'm smoking the Timeless Prestige from Ferry Otago, which used to be Nat Sherman. Then Nat Sherman sold, and then Michael Herklotz of Ferry Otago purchased the whole Nat Sherman cigar line, not the cigarette line. It's a long story. I'll get into it another time. There's nothing going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing. Everything has been solved and taken care of if the ballroom is the biggest story. Now, of course, that's not true. You still have Hamas, a terrorist organization out there. You still have Iran supporting this terrorist organization. You still have violent leftist cities where you have mayors who simply refuse to be honest about the situation. How come that still isn't the front and center story? How come the front and center story isn't why these leftist cities don't believe in their own city being better? That should be some very, very good reporting. That would be worthy reporting. This is Fox News. An investigative video released by the American Border Story. New Yorkers detailed their concerns about how the city's migrant shelters and sanctuary policies had resulted in a surge in organized crime in their neighborhoods. Oh, look, a story. A story that's worthy of our attention. Hakeem Jeffries moaning and kvetching about the shutdown? No, thanks. Republicans talking about the Democrats on the shutdown. I think they happen to be right, but still, no thanks. You want to have a conversation about trade policy with the U.S. Trade Representative, Jameson Greer?
This is technology with respect to the rare earth. It's technology that the U.S. invented and pioneered 60 years ago. And China was able to have some of that transfer of technology, which was a mistake, turns out. And so it's completely normal for us, obviously, in the face of Chinese export controls, to diversify and develop other sources. And so, again, we get these word salads coming out of Beijing of trying to justify what they've done. No one's fooled.
That is accurate. Everyone is sick of China. Now the question is, when are you going to punch them in the nose? And I mean hard. A worthy story. But let's go back for a moment, shall we? One New Yorker said the blame for policies lies directly with the progressive Democratic City Council. Quote, "This is the worst city council I've ever seen in my life in New York City." That is a local organizer and Democrat saying that. Now, I take it to you. How quickly could you say this about your city, your town, your municipality? Why is it that we have such unbelievably bad leadership in all of these places? Is the leadership bad? Is our expectation unobtainable? Or is the problem that we didn't elect leaders to begin with? I put forth it is the third. We don't elect leaders. We elect ideological like-mindedness. Doesn't make them leaders, doesn't make them smart, doesn't make them capable, doesn't mean they can run a city. I've often said about South Africa, where you see this ugly constitution that they have. People who want to praise the South African Constitution have never read it. And you also see that now that apartheid is over, revenge is the only thing on the mind. And it's kill the Boer, kill the white farmer, and taking the land from white farmers and giving it to black citizens. That's what you see all over South Africa. As I have said on this show before, if someone hands me 1,000 acres and say, congratulations, you now have a tomato farm, you know what I'll have in 6 months? No tomatoes. Would you like to know why? I don't know how to grow tomatoes, guys. I wish I did. I wish I had that kind of green thumb. Someone once brought me, this is a true story, brought to my radio station in Indianapolis. They brought me a wagon. Right? Not like Fred Willard, I have a real red wagon. No. Anytime you can mention Fred Willard, everything's okay. They brought me a wagon with a tomato plant in it. And it was in a like a barrel kind of contraption. And it was very cool. And for that year, I was able to get some tomatoes and they were great. And that was the end of that. I can't grow tomatoes. You cannot take X number of acres of farmland, give it to somebody who doesn't know how to farm and say you're a farmer now. That's not the way it works. What you will have is hungry people. That's all you can get. Just because somebody is ideologically like you, just because somebody looks like you, does not mean that they have some skill set in terms of running a city. And yet we elect this. We do not elect for skill. Part of the reason that is, part of what has happened here, is that we have a worthy disdain of the concept of the elite. Now, in order to have this conversation, we have to accept that certain things are true. It might be insulting to some. Doesn't matter. Facts are facts. Some people are smarter than other people. Some people are more talented than other people. Maybe not in every subject, but in certain subjects. Some people are good at math and some people aren't. And it's not racist or bigoted or sexist or anything else to say so. I want the person who is good at math doing the math stuff, and I want the person good at science doing the science stuff. And I have no interest in promoting the person who is not good at either one into places to do any of the above just because, well, we need that look. We need to do that thing because it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do when hiring a mathematician is hire somebody who understands how to do the math, and everything else is garbage. Some people know how to lead and some people don't. The mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, wants to implement a tax of $21 per employee your company has over 100 employees. If you're over 100 employees, the tax goes on everybody to make up for their budget shortfalls. Even the governor, J.B. Pritzker, billionaire, is like, are you out of your mind? This is ridiculous. I oppose this in every way. Brandon Johnson can't lead. Brandon Johnson got elected because he was black. And now you see what happens when you don't vote for people who can lead. But when some seers in Virginia can lead. And yet I'm not sure she's going to win the Virginia gubernatorial race. People can lead, people can't lead. People can do math, people can't do math. Of all different stripes and of all different styles. You elect the person who can. Bernie Sanders is a communist, a punk, and a loser. And he has never, ever, ever provided any value anywhere. Can he lead? No, he can take. Has he inspired people to buy into his garbage? Absolutely, that is true. Absolutely true. And gross, mind you. But is there anything he's done as a senator where we could say, my gosh, we are all better off? Rudy Giuliani has had one of the most amazing falls from grace one has ever seen. But in the moments after the towers fell on September 11th, was there any better leader? The elites began to hate the people that they were leading. And not only did they hate the people they were leading, they were proud to tell the people they were leading how much they hated them. And every day called the rest of us, if you will. Racists, bigots, sexists, told us that we deserve the name calling. They didn't care about us. Now, I think this is a hard conversation for some people to listen to and some people to have because they would consider themselves the elites, or at least not consider themselves dumb, consider themselves people of capability. And I'm not saying that you're not, and I'm not saying that I'm not. I am saying that as Americans, this is what we got told by the people who did get elected, who did not get elected for their minds, but rather for their ideological rigor. And that happened on the right side of the aisle as well. And we became so disgusted with the elites, so disgusted with these people who were given this great opportunity to lead that, well, we stopped paying attention to them altogether. We stopped even trying to find them. Democrat cities have to admit that voting for Democrats only to run their cities hasn't worked. It doesn't work. You failed. It's a terrible, terrible idea. These people can't do it because your ideology cannot do it. Try something else. Try something else. Maybe Democrats are really good at cultural subjects, but you need Republicans to make sure the trash gets picked up on time and the snow gets plowed. Maybe you got to stop living so desperately in your party bubble and you have to grow up. And just because someone shares a D or an R after the name, just because somebody shares a skin color or a religion or I don't know your identifying characteristic, maybe that isn't the only qualification that matters. Maybe a lot of these people in these cities need to grow up, stop being such bigoted bastards, and do better. But hey, what do I know? I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. today. Hold on. I've got a question for everybody, asked Gilbert. What was the most peaceful time in history? Probably when I was sleeping last night, because I didn't hear anything. No, that's not the answer. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was, no? Really? Oh, pity. What's going on here? What's going on with my light here? Shouldn't be able to see that. See, I've got this light, fancy light right here. I'm not supposed to be able to see that. So what happened? I had some people doing some work here today. I think they moved the camera. That's what I think happened. Hold on a second. I'll just throw that up right there. Don't mind me. Just going to work. There we go. Maybe that'll do it. Maybe not. I don't know. I have no idea if that's going to do the trick or not. How's that? That's not bad. I dig that. I don't know if I'm a little shifted over, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, my humidor continues to have major issues. I mean, it's driving me nuts. I can't figure out why it is. Just nothing is burning right. It's like this cigar right here. Good Lord. That is just bad. You know what? That stinks. I don't want to give it up, though. I'm going to have to. And we're coming back to the radio show. Don't mind me complaining about a cigar. I was told, with a fair amount of authority, that people who are in the country illegally are not registering to vote. That doesn't happen. You see, they don't show up to register to vote. That's just not the way it works. Yet there's a story, Fox News reporting an investigation into the voter rolls and citizenship records of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, what's known as the SAVE, S-A-V-E, SAVE database, discovered 2,724 potential non-citizens on the voter rolls. Every time we discuss deportation of illegal immigrants, we are right. And anybody who doesn't favor voter ID favors stealing elections. Doesn't mean that the election is going to be stolen. It doesn't mean that fraud took place. It means that they favor it. But anybody who thinks anybody in the country illegally should be allowed to vote is undermining America and should be dealt with accordingly. That should be a crime. Proactively supporting non-citizens voting in the United States? Crime. Jail. Oh, and you lose your voting rights too. That's how serious of a crime I would call it. That's how I think it should be treated. It's a pretty important subject. But this would be less of an issue if we were engaged more in the importance of these deportations. And this is why, no matter the screaming and hollering, President Trump's push on the border, the success of the border, is the greatest thing that has happened in his first year. Remember, we're not past the 9-month mark, really. Are we in the 10th month? Oh, we're not past the 10-month mark, really. But it's been nothing but success. Absolutely fantastic, great success. You would have more success if we didn't have people who are in the country illegally in the country. If you removed illegal immigrants, the amount of people who are illegally on the voter rolls or illegal immigrants on voter rolls would be zero. That's a good number. That is the number we should be trying to reach. As a matter of fact, how could anybody be opposed to that number? And the people who claim, well, no person is illegal. But we have rules about the fact that they can't vote, so that's illegal, right? So if they registered to vote, no matter how it happened, whether they knew it or not, because that's what's going to be said, oh, they didn't even know they registered. You see what happened was, well, then who did the registering? Because they knew what happened. And somebody has to go to jail. It's Harvey Keitel and National Treasure. Somebody has to go to jail. These crimes cannot go unpunished because these crimes are not victimless. These crimes are a great danger against American society because these crimes disenfranchise American citizens. And anybody willing to look the other way while the American citizen is disenfranchised, that is an enemy. And what did I start with? The enemies have to be dealt with accordingly. You got to go to jail. Disenfranchise an American citizen from their vote? Yeah, you go to jail. That's all there is to it. Hey, it was nice knowing you. All right, see you later. Okay, take it easy. It's the only answer there is. Only one. Meanwhile, President Trump has said, Putin, I'm not interested in that meeting. I don't need it. I would argue that the man is correct. He doesn't need it. But if this is all part of the plan, what's the next step? I will have that story for you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. This is Tony Katz Today. I'm going to try and get the cigar lit. Or I may have to start fresh. It happens. Okay. Let's see how that goes. A lot of ash everywhere. It happens. So what do you guys got? What story am I not talking about that you think I should? Because I'll talk about that one. I don't know. I wasn't kidding. Like there's no like overarching. We're waiting on information about the shutdown. We don't have anything new about Trump, Russia, Ukraine. You've got J.D. Vance with the Israeli prime minister in Israel. So you tell me. I think it would be unfair, we're talking about voting, to punish the level 1 BMV clerks because they're only doing what the state tells them they have to do. I'm going to counter that, Claudia. Somebody has to go to jail. That's my counter. Who is responsible? You talk about non-citizens registering to vote. Someone has to go to jail. Don't tell me who can't go to jail. Tell me who is going to go to jail. Do not, and I repeat this, we will not, I should say, have any conversation that ends with, well, it's a problem, but what are you going to do? I won't live like that. I won't have a part of it. I'm not going to be told in 100 different ways, well, you can't see them. No, it can't really be them. No, you can't blame. Someone has to go to jail. If I sneeze the wrong way, they'll put me in jail. These people register illegal immigrants and no one goes to jail? Oh, to hell with that. To hell with that. How was the Turning Point USA event in Bloomington, Indiana with Tucker Carlson and Governor Braun? I wasn't there. I was at a bourbon event at a bar and grill in Broad Ripple, which is in Indianapolis. And it was great. I think Tucker was the wrong choice. I don't think TPUSA gains anything from having Tucker around. And I think that for the governor, all right, 3,200 21-year-olds are there supporting ostensibly conservatism. Show up. I get that. I absolutely understand why you would do that thing. Not impressed. Tucker's left the building for me. That's all there is to it. To me, his time has come and gone. Unbelievable talent, and that's all there is. Decided to ruin it with screaming about anti-Semitism. Ruined it with what I consider to be an unbalanced, ill-thought-out approach. That's all I've got. That's all I've got for Tucker. But hey, he's going to keep doing his thing. He doesn't care what I say. He's got huge popularity. That's it. Really disappointing. Jim Jordan is the House Judiciary Chairman. And Jim Jordan has referred the former CIA Director, John Brennan, to the Justice Department, alleging that John Brennan has made knowingly false statements to Congress about the agency's role in the intelligence assessment regarding Russia. Meaning that, according to Jim Jordan, John Brennan should be tried. I love every bit of that. Every single bit of it. I think it's the greatest thing ever. Was that all the applause we're going to get? All right, better. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Jordan saying of Brennan's 2023 sworn testimony, this was a letter sent to the Attorney General Pam Bondi, a 6-page letter. The testimony contained, and I quote, willfully and intentionally false statements of material fact. This relating to the Steele dossier, its use in the IC, the Intelligence Community Assessment, and that examined Russian activities during the 2016 election. Good. These are bad people. And this falls in line with the someone's got to go to jail, which is the hardest part about all these things. How do you, all these years later, engage a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Prosecution? How do you get that done? How do you go about achieving that goal? Well, President Trump has decided the way to do that is to sue the DOJ. This gets super confusing. The President of the United States is Donald John Trump. And Trump is suing the DOJ for $230 million over politically driven probes. Now, of course, we know this to be true. Joe Biden and Merrick Garland, a man, thankfully, who is not on the Supreme Court. We can thank Mitch McConnell for that. Say what you will about Mitch McConnell. Saved America in many, many ways. Not allowing the partisan, I was going to say violence, but violent takes on different meanings these days. Horrific Merrick Garland, keeping him from being on the Supreme Court, incredibly important. Incredibly important. Now, yes, we deal with Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is inept. Oh, no. Scream at somebody else. You want to call me a bigot? Let's see where that takes you. Ketanji Brown Jackson is not good at this, not bright. Her conversations are childlike, and other members of the Supreme Court have been saying to her quite clearly, you are not really cut out for this. Whether that be Amy Coney Barrett or whether that be Sonia Sotomayor. Because she's not. She doesn't have the capacity. She doesn't. Plain and simple. Sonia Sotomayor, I disagree with, has the capacity. Elena Kagan, no one was even sure about. She's a Solicitor General, has been an interesting justice. Chief Justice John Roberts has given some garbage opinions. All of them of capacity. Ketanji Brown Jackson, no. The answer is no. I disagreed oftentimes vehemently with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Is there any question about whether or not she was capable? There shouldn't be. I don't think the late Justice Scalia was hanging around with her and being friends with her because she was incompetent. That doesn't seem to be his style. To think it would be pure applesauce. That's a quote from Scalia right there. So you're suing the DOJ. And I don't disagree that these were all politically motivated hit jobs. And I don't disagree that we will see that the DOJ or members of the DOJ, participants in the DOJ, the Department of Justice, were behind this. But how do you sue them? See, this is part of the problem. These people are indeed guilty. How in the world do you sue the DOJ? The Department of Justice is run by the president. The president is suing the DOJ for what they did before he was president. Now, how does this DOJ not come to some kind of settlement and pay the president who is their boss? What did I say that's so wrong? How in the world does this work? I don't think the president could sue the DOJ. And if it was a Democrat suing the DOJ and the DOJ handed over $230 million, people on the political right would be screaming, this is scam, this is criminal, this is payoff, this is mafia nonsense. And they'd be right. The president of the United States, Donald Trump, has a legitimate case. A legitimate case. And yet he's not going to be able to get justice like this because the DOJ should not give him a penny. You control the DOJ. You can't do this. You can't do this. And it stinks. I actually feel for the man because he got screwed and he had to spend millions of dollars defending himself from nonsense. People should go to jail for it. They won't. And that's the worst part. The worst part for all of us is looking at how the left operates and how they act, and they never once have to deal with the consequences of their actions. Hillary Clinton sent classified information over a homebrew server that she purposely kept out of the purview of government oversight while she was Secretary of State, and nothing happened except she wrote books and was invited onto The View. It angers to no end. To no end. And I haven't figured out how one deals with that. How one stops that. How one fixes that. But after reviewing the idea of $230 million in compensation from the Justice Department, maybe if you weren't the president, sir. But you are. There's no other way to look at it, in my view, other than a payoff. Because how do they say no to you? You're the boss. It stinks. But I still think I'm right. There is a rumor that redistricting doesn't have the votes in the state of Indiana. Well, let me fix this because we have to redistrict. And I think Republicans who can't figure this out don't need to be in the General Assembly, whether it's the state of Indiana or anywhere else. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. I'm just going to give the fair warning right now. Coming up, there might be some language. No, not that kind of language. I mean, I still have FCC rules that I have to deal with. No, there's going to be some language regarding what kind of men and women we need in leadership. I was talking about this earlier, and talk about Democrats need to grow up. You can't run cities. You've proven it. You can't run cities. It's not my fault. You can't do it. You can do other things, like make my latte as my barista, but you can't run a city. Republicans can't fight. They can't. It is amazing that the shutdown has gone on this long without Republicans immediately capitulating. But they can't fight. They simply don't know how to do it. And this redistricting fight, it is embarrassing what they're saying. So I'm putting out a post. Sorry. There we go. Yeah. I haven't decided if I'm going to scream or not. I try not to when I do the show. When I started my radio career, I was a screamer. I don't do that now. It doesn't mean I'm not capable. Oh, I'm capable. I have got a capability when it comes to being loud. But these people are unserious. Unserious. Do we not understand what we are up against? Do we not understand the fight in front of us? You've already been abused on redistricting by the political left for years. What are you waiting for? Coming back to the radio show. But I promise to also make it entertaining, because that's what you paid for. Hold on, wait, you didn't pay to be here? What the hell is that all about? I don't know if they're entertained, Landon, but I know they're here for free, which is okay by me. Last week, I made a statement. I was on stage in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with one of my affiliates, WOWO, known affectionately as WOWO, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Things are about to get loud. And for Republicans, whether they be in my home state or in any state, this is for you. Because while I make the argument quite clearly that Democrats don't know how to run cities, they've proven it. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, you don't know how to run a city. You're not capable of doing this. You're capable of doing other things. You know how to make my latte. You know how to dye your hair blue. I'm very proud of you. But when it comes to running a city, you don't know what you're doing. And the rest of us need to take control of these cities. Even Democrats who live in the cities have to be like, you know what? If I need my hair dyed blue, I know who to call. But if I want a city run, I need a Republican. These Democrats can't run a freaking city. Republicans have their own issues. And one of those issues is Republicans do not know how to be tough at all. You would think after the re-election of Donald Trump, they would have gotten the message. The answer is they don't have the message. And so there I am in Fort Wayne, and it's an event. Glenn Beck is headlining the event, who's on the station there. And then it's a political panel, and it's the morning host from the station, WOWO, Caleb Blakesley, who's fantastic, and Glenn Beck, and the afternoon host over there at WOWO, Casey Hendrickson, terrific guy. And me, and me. And this conversation came up about redistricting, which is to say it's mid-decade, right? You do the census and then you create new districts. Well, what happens if you do it in the middle of a census? It's a legal process. It is allowed. You're not violating any law, nor are you violating the spirit of the law. You can redistrict anytime you want, and the people in the state who don't like it, they can vote out state legislators. And this is what happened in Texas. And Texas should have dealt with Texas. But California came in and said, well, we're going to engage in act of retribution and we're going to redistrict. It was at that moment I said that Indiana, because it was on the table about redistricting, has to redistrict. Every Republican state has to redistrict. Because it's clear that you're in a fight. First, look at what the left has done via redistricting and the levels of weird, nonsensical, amoeba-like districts they've created. Then they create these panels and these institutions to protect what it is they've done so they can keep their fiefdoms and keep their power. Then take a look at the states that have Republicans who live in the state and have not a single Republican representative. And we're told, well, that's just the way it is. And no question about how they've drawn their districts. If you want to talk about the future of the nation, you can give it up to Democrats if you choose, who are now progressives, nay communists, and you've seen the violence and you've seen the vitriol and you've seen the incapability that they put out there. Or you could say we're going to utilize a political process that's purely legal, completely legal, and we're going to fight back a legal way. And so there's been a lot of push in the state of Indiana for redistricting. The push comes from the president and the vice president. The push comes from me. There is some reporting today that a Republican spokesperson in Indiana said we don't have the votes for redistricting. The votes aren't there for redistricting. This per an Indiana Senate Republican spokesperson. It was Hannah Adamson reporting. You don't know that I know that Republicans in the state listen to this show, as they listen all across the country. But remember, I do a morning show here and other things. But this is not a story just about Indiana. This is a story, as we go back to it, as we were discussing earlier, about the very concepts of leadership. Republicans are too afraid of their own shadow. They're too afraid. They're too interested in being nice. And the question is, what are you talking about? What is the value of your supermajority if you're not willing to utilize it for a subject that has value nationwide? Why do you think you're above it? Or more importantly, why do you think it's beneath you? Why is a political process beneath you? What are you afraid of? What moral high ground do you believe that you hold? What I said in Fort Wayne was, all we heard about is we have to do things differently. All we heard about is that we need to fight. All we heard is that President Trump was a fighter and we need to elect fighters like President Trump. And we're going to fight and we want things to change and we want things to be different. And now we're having a conversation about something that's a little bit different. And the answer is, we can't do that. That is beneath us. We don't do that here. Then you should go work at Dairy Queen, because you have no business being in a place of power. You don't have it, kitten. You're not good enough. Whether it be the Republicans in my own state or in any other state. This is the conversation, a valuable conversation, utilizing a legal political process. You got the political power, and now the answer is, don't use it. You absolute children, when do you grow up and realize what is happening all around you? You don't like being called children? My gosh, I've got much worse for you, but I'm on radio and there are rules. This is not Vietnam. There are rules. You have the power. You were elected to utilize it, and this is a political process. Well, Tony, you're just stealing votes. You're not stealing anything. You are engaged in a process that belongs to the legislature. They already took your ability to decide who the senator is via the direct election of senators. You gave that up so willingly your heads could spin. And this you're not even willing to fight for? Why am I voting for you? Why am I campaigning for you? What value do you bring? This is true for your state, guys. Of course, redistricting should be on the table. And in Indiana, Governor Mike Braun called a special session. This is Tony Katz today. Oh, I have many, many things to say on the subject. I am disgusted by the inability to fight, the unwillingness to fight. It's horrifying. Horrifying to see that Republicans won't. And the answer is they won't. And it's even more horrifying that my cigar is just blown up. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure why it's not lighting properly. I am sure that I have to vacuum. This I'm sure of. Good gosh. Yeah, really depressing because it's a good cigar. The Timeless is not my favorite from Ferio Tego. Michael Herklots. But I keep a couple in my humidor. And every now and then I grab one. I'm like, okay, solid. Yeah, this has got a weird burn, a weird plug up. And so I'm thinking it's a humidification issue. And it's my humidor. And the last thing I want to do is replace that humidor. Because that is going to require another mortgage. It's not cheap. So I don't want to have to replace it. But if I have to, Also, we've got Ron DeSantis in Florida now discussing ending property taxes. This is the way. This is the only way. Good Lord. I didn't go full Jersey, Kim. By the way, how's your mother? I did not go full Jersey. That is not it. Not it at all. Wait, did I? Nah. Here's the deal. We're in radio break, so we're going to take the break right here. It'll just be a couple minutes, and we'll come back. We've got more show to do. I am glad you guys are here. I appreciate it like you wouldn't believe. Hang loose. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. I vacuumed. That's a true story. I vacuumed to be able to get all, because I had so much ash from the cigar that has not been burning properly, which happens. So it happens for a couple reasons. First, you're dealing with a hand-rolled product. It can be rolled too tight. It can be rolled too loose. You can have a humidification issue, which I have. You could be smoking it too fast and therefore create some other problems with it. Who knows? Maybe I've saved it. We have a lot to get to, a lot of show to get to. You've got questions. I have got answers. I'm happy to do that. I'm going to have a lot more on this redistricting stuff because it really is a story about just how absolutely weak the Republican Party is. This is about whether or not you're willing to fight. Yes or no. Just that simple. And they're not. They're not willing to fight. If they're not willing to fight on this, what are they actually willing to fight for? Because all we're discussing here is the balance of power against states that have already so brutally gerrymandered that you'll never get an advantage again because they've created an unfair fight and then they think, oh, don't touch anything. Weak Republicans. Weak, gross Republicans. We don't need any more of that, do we? Let's start the show there, producer Landon. Let's go do some work.
The voters have to approve it. It's a constitutional issue in Florida. It's not something the state derives revenue for. It's a local issue. We're trying to focus on Florida homeowners and their primary resident. People that have Airbnbs or whatever, that's separate. Yeah. But your personal home, you shouldn't rent it from the government. You should own it. And, you're paying taxes for 50 years, but even for young families, it's become very difficult across this country to make ends meet. Wouldn't it be great if they were able to have home ownership without having the burden of property tax that? So that's coming to a ballot near you in November of 2026, and we need 60% of Florida voters to do it. And I think it's going to be very popular, but it's also something that's not an easy bar to reach when you have an election like that.
Leadership. Ron DeSantis. He's right. This property tax conversation is insane. Property taxes are wrong. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. So good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Live streaming. You can find the stream there on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/Tony Katz and on Twitter X at Tony Katz, TonyKatz, and be a part of it. Absolutely. Property taxes are wrong. Property taxes state that you do not own what it is you say you own. That for the reasons of not paying the government, they can take your land. They decide whether or not you get to keep your property. I also agree with Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, that if we're talking about a second residence, a rental residence, that would fall under a different category. Commercial would fall under a different category. Now, one could argue if I own a home, if I own 2 homes, if I own 5 homes, you're telling me I don't own the land that I own. I'm up for that debate. I can be swayed, but I got to start where I can start. I'm a believer in incrementalism, right? Incrementalism is the idea that you can't get it all at once. You can't have it your way. This is not Burger King. By the way, can you really have it your way at Burger King? Like, I don't know the last time I was there. Does anybody have proof of this? Like, what is the craziest order you ever got from Burger King? 833, got Tony, 833-468-8669. Have we tested the theory about whether or not you can get it your way? I'd just be curious. I'd just like to know. Honestly, call in. This is the conversation today. Incrementalism is about you go for X, like the big piece of the pie. You get the little piece of the pie. That's what you're able to get past. Okay, great. Get that done, go for the next. The political left has been engaged in incrementalism for decades, and slowly but surely, it adds up to a whole bunch. It's annoying. It is absolutely annoying. And I don't disagree. But it is the way to get it done. It is about patience. It's about self-control. It's about focus. Things that we don't have in America in a large measure today. But it's how it gets done. So if I can't get every property to not have a property tax, but I can get people's main home to not have a property tax, step in the right direction. Property taxes are immoral. It is immoral to tell somebody that they own something and then say, oh, no, wait, you don't. And that we, the state, can make this change to your property tax really without your say-so. And you have to pay us. It's messed up. Get what you can and then go after the next piece. Incrementalism. This should be what every single Republican governor is doing. But as I just discussed, I find Republicans are unbelievably weak. Maybe this is why I don't get invited to speak at many Lincoln Day dinners. I mean, I've done a few, and I would do a few more. I don't know, maybe I charge too much. Some are upset that I charge at all because, I should do it for free. Now, maybe they're right. As a matter of marketing, I should do it for free. As a matter of capitalism, I can't afford to do it for free. I have to pay all the damn property taxes. See what I did there? I brought it full circle. But it's a weakness. It's a weakness in the understanding of what leadership is, which is, I guess, been a theme today. I didn't know that it was going to be the case. I don't really theme out shows. Sometimes they just naturally appear. Do the people have the right to own their own home? And the answer is, if you believe in property taxes, no. Now, as the governor mentioned, this is a local issue because property taxes pay for what? Schools. And because they pay for schools, well, you can't touch property taxes. I think because they pay for schools, it's the thing we should touch first and remove. Well, great. Now, how are we going to pay for the schools? There are sales taxes and there are other taxes. And I want to state for the record, you'll never heard me say that the state can't charge taxes. I talk, for example, about the federal income tax. And I believe we should do away with the federal income tax. The federal income tax has been an absolute disaster. Not a single life is better because of the income tax. It is utilized as a cudgel against American citizens, dividing American citizens. This is one of the great horrors of 1913. You had the income tax, you had the direct election of senators, and you had what? The Federal Reserve. Show me where we're better off with any three of those things. 1913 was the tilt of America. And I think I'm the only person who's ever described it like this. 1913 was about the United States moving away from its founding in possibly its most fundamental level. When Barack Obama talked about we're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America, that was done in 1913. He was just following in the footsteps of absolutely horrific people like Woodrow Wilson. I mean, that's just fact. Absolute horrific policies like that of FDR. We need to be able to say that we believe that people should own what they own. But more importantly, we need Republicans willing to say it. And we still, after everything we have seen and everything we have learned and everything that has been professed and proclaimed, we still have people out there saying, oh, I don't know. Because if we take away property taxes, the left is going to yell at us and say, you don't want to fund public education. Allow me. I do not want to fund public education because public education is not worth funding. Let me offer a caveat really quick. My kids go to public school. And I think their public school has been outstanding. Little issues here and there. Some homework assignments are like, nope, that's not right. You can see the wokeness right there. And my wife is always, all right, so let's slow down. Let's just get through the assignment. We've explained it. Good. Let's just move on. She's not wrong, by the way. She's just not totally right because you're not supposed to put up with that nonsense at all. But it happened in slight measure. The truth is, where my kids go to school, I have been outrageously impressed. Incredibly so. I would say to you that the public school experience that my kids have had is rare and unique and possibly a unicorn. It is not, well, it was good enough for your kids. I never said it was good enough for my kids. Nor did I ever say that if they went to private school or a charter school or were homeschooled, they couldn't have had a better education. We moved to where we moved to because we heard it was great and we liked what we saw. But if it didn't exist, we could have done it on our own. We could have coordinated with 9 other families and done it on our own. What does everybody think? That if the government didn't create a school system, we wouldn't have it? You didn't have public schools until the 1900s. This is a new phenomenon. You didn't have the Department of Education until 1979. What the hell are we talking about? How in the world did these kids get educated before some weirdo lefty decided there had to be public education and a teachers union? That's like saying people didn't have trade with other surrounding towns and communities until the government built a road. You think the people were sitting there with a bushel full of corn saying, man, I'd love to sell this to the people over there, but there's no road. Man, if only the government would build a road. All right, well, we'll just wait. Hopefully the corn doesn't go bad, and then we'll be able to sell the corn. Man, hope the government gets on it today. They created their own damn roads. What do you think happened? This is a nonsense argument made by the political left that somehow, and you've heard me say it before, the institution has to exist because the institution must exist. No, it doesn't. And neither does the institution have to be funded the way that it was funded prior. Because if we take a look at the amount of money many municipalities or many states give per pupil versus what it is we get in terms of the grades and test scores, you think we're getting a good return on our money? We're getting some kind of value? And maybe if it was funded via other taxes, because states can engage income taxes. I never said no. You have the ability to move to another state. States can engage a whole series of taxes, sales taxes, etc. You know exactly what you're paying into that school district every time you buy X, Y, and Z, and you can make a decision on what it is you buy. And the school districts will have to learn to work within their means. Because there's never a moment where a school district is like, that's enough, thanks, we're good. No, we don't need any more money, we're fine. We're fine. It's all right. It's all right. No. This is going to work just fine. As a matter of fact, we might not use it all. We'll give it back. It doesn't happen. The ROI. What? We can't notice that we spend a crap ton of money and kids can't read. Kids can't do math. We spend all this money and we allow kids to abuse teachers and abuse each other, and we don't throw those kids out because, well, we have to understand they come from this home. They've got this issue. Why aren't you more caring? I care about the students who want to learn. And the students who don't want to learn, they got to go. I also have advocated in the schools, by the way, that if you don't graduate high school, you're not eligible for any social services. You watch and see how many high school graduates we get. You watch and see how little nonsense is accepted in schools once that happens, because they won't engage in nonsense if you took away those things. I'm talking about a requirement. Make the argument against. I'm listening. I'm all ears. We can fund schools in other ways. Property taxes is an abuse. It says you do not actually have property rights. And how is one free if one does not have property rights? How can one claim to be the king of their castle if they don't actually own their castle? If they never actually own their castle? If the real king can take it from them at any time? And that's not how we view government. As I was told by the political left just this past weekend, no kings. Nope. So good on Ron DeSantis. Good on us for saying no to property taxes. I hope Florida does it, and I hope every other state follows suit immediately, if not sooner. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Yeah, I have tried every which way on this cigar, but yet it won't love me. Just refuses. Keep fighting. There comes a moment where you don't want to fight anymore. You're just like, okay, this didn't work. This did not happen. I haven't, I'm looking at the comments. Am I wrong about property taxes? Am I wrong about school funding? Am I wrong about the approach? Well, your kid's got a good education, Tony, so you shouldn't complain. My kids did get a good education. I say so quite clearly. Doesn't take away from the fact that we shouldn't have property taxes. Doesn't take away from the fact that we should break the teachers union in half. Not in the slightest. The Indiana House Democrats have put out a statement regarding redistricting. Nobody's asking for redistricting. Instead, Hoosiers are asking their elected leaders to fix their high utility bills, property taxes, and other things. And I said, I'm asking to end for an end to property taxes, and I'm asking for redistricting. Good Lord, who are these people? Fighting multiple fights at one time. Yes, and if your house is paid for, now you're renting. The state never stops collecting. That is a fundamental issue. I will pull that up right there. Do that. Bunch to get to, still to get to. Not sure how I want to answer that. I'll leave that right there. I will leave that right there. Coming back to the show. Sorry, guys, just checking what's going on. Try to keep an eye on everything to the best of my ability. Netflix is now going to bring you a new series based on the Kennedy family. 8-episode series. It's inspired by a book by Frederick Logevall. I think it's Logevall, Logevall. JFK, Coming of Age in the American Century, 1917 to 1956. Tony Katz today. I don't know, it's The Crown, but it's the Kennedys. Nobody's interested in the Kennedy saga anymore. The days of Camelot are long gone. The Kennedys are just standard leftists, and RFK is their black sheep, who is also a standard leftist. But he thinks you should be allowed to talk about vaccines, so, excommunicated. I do not know who Netflix is going to grab with this story. I simply am unaware of how they believe this is going to bring in more audience. I don't see it myself, but neither here nor there. Let us get into this story about Hakeem Jeffries. Now, I'm not talking about the shutdown here, nor am I talking about the ballroom, which is just, this whole thing about the East Wing renovation has gotten nutty.
Amateur historian, you'll understand the White House has been renovated many times over the years. You understand? I mean, it was built between 1792 and 1800, right? The British burned it down practically in 1814, and then they rebuilt it in the early 1820s. And ever since, like, we've had many presidents renovate and add things to the White House. Teddy Roosevelt built the whole West Wing. Who was it? FDR, Taft, I think, added the Oval Office. FDR made additions. I mean, Truman put ripped everything up to put a bowling alley, and FDR had added the swimming pool, I think. Barack Obama added a basketball court. President Trump's going to add the greatest improvement to the White House in the history of the building since it was originally constructed in 1800. The ballroom is going to be glorious. It's going to be used for everybody. And by the way, hey, Democrats, if you win the White House back, you get to use it too. This is for the American.
The whole ballroom conversation is nonsense. Not nonsense is the story about a guy who was pardoned after what took place on January 6th, arrested for a death threat against Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. What is anybody doing? You don't threaten to kill members of Congress. You don't threaten to kill anybody. I can't believe this has to be said out loud. This is insane. Hakeem Jeffries is doing a good enough job destroying his own political career. You don't threaten the man. You don't like it? You don't like him? Vote for somebody else. That's the whole damn point. The left is saying, we don't like you, we're allowed to shoot at you. And by the way, that is a growing trend, and I would argue is a majority number. They believe they can do harm to the people they disagree with. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be well prepared. Buy guns, buy ammo, and get trained so you can protect yourself. Threaten members of Congress? Of course you belong in jail if you're threatening members of Congress. Vote him out. Run against him. That's the answer. Good Lord. We're reaching a level of seriously dumb here. A felony charge of making a terrorist threat. Putting out a message that Hakeem Jeffries makes a speech in a few days in New York City. I cannot allow this terrorist to live. Enjoy jail. Because exactly where you belong. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. See, now I'm collecting the ash so I don't have to vacuum again. I'm going to have to vacuum again. It's the way it goes sometimes. There are worse things that happen. Any subjects I haven't gotten to that I should, let me know in the comments. God. So I'm watching the social media feed of everybody talking about the redistricting stuff, right? And I've just never seen the amount of establishment folk. Look at me, I'm always counterculture. Look at me, I don't like any of these people. Yay, establishment on redistricting. God almighty. Good Lord. It's gross. And for every Republican in Indiana, you understand, even if you don't redistrict, which you might not. I said call a special session and have the vote. Might lose. You understand the Democrats still hate you, right? Oh, Lauren. First of all, thank you for listening to the show. Secondly, this is silly. This is a story about how Democrats so hate Donald Trump and are so obsessed with their hate that they can't think straight. This isn't about Trump. This is about them. And if this is supposed to be some kind of, oh, look at me, this is a good shot at Trump, you're boring and you're basic. Because this is not the argument at all. And no, I'm not leaving, Dark Rogue. I'm not leaving. I'm right here, boo. Coming back to the show.
charitable endeavors. David Fahrenthold did incredible work, investigative reporting, so much so that he won a Pulitzer Prize on Trump's longtime habit of not following through on promises to donate money. And
was it the Washington Post or the New York Times win a Pulitzer Prize for Russia that never happened? Which one? Can someone look that up for me? Just the idea MSNBC, which is soon to be MS Now, which is soon to be MS. You remember them? Because they're not on the air anymore. Tony Katz today. Guys, great to be here. Great to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com. Trump's not fulfilling his promises. This is the argument now of the political left. Well, when you don't have anything else, I mean, you gotta say something. All I know is border secure, trying to bring a level of peace around the globe. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but at least it's an effort. It's more of an effort than the UN has given. And I think one of the best lines President Trump ever used is that here I am, I'm negotiating peace in parts of Africa. I'm trying to get this thing done here. Was it Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan? Was that it? No. Azerbaijan. Okay, I gotta figure this out. It wasn't the Uzbeks, was it? Armenia, Azerbaijan. Sorry, get that right. Don't want to make a mistake there. Where was the UN to say, hey, do you need a hand? Hey, can we help with this? His point was they never called, they never asked, they never cared, which is correct, by the way. That is a very, very accurate statement. And so if we're talking about Trump holding on to promises, some yes, some not yet. Some, you can argue, politicians are politicians. But this is MSNBC these days.
His own foundation, as you will remember, had to shut down for misusing charitable funds. So what's the average American going to make of this?
If we're going to discuss misusing charitable funds, can we discuss the Clinton Global Initiative and what they not did for Haiti? What they not did? What they didn't do for Haiti. Ooh, oh my gosh, not did. That can't be good. The Clinton Global Initiative, why would anybody give to the Clinton Global Initiative? They gave to the Clinton Global Initiative so they could get access to Bill and Hillary. It was a payoff. Everybody knows this. And as for funds that got to Haiti, well, nope. But hey, if you want to argue this about Trump and charitable organizations, well, then okay, you go right ahead. You go right ahead and make the argument. You can have some data points that you can point to. I never said that Trump was perfect. But then MSNBC decides that this is the conversation in today's America they should be having.
Yeah, look, from the very beginning, the Trump campaign going back to 2015 was a large criminal enterprise.
And we're done. Those people over there are completely and totally broken. They do not have a single subject that they can discuss. Everything is Trump bad. Everything is rehash on rehash to satisfy an ever foaming at the mouth political left base. Nothing interesting about the story. And there are interesting stories out there. Russia hit Kyiv with a drone attack. 2 people killed. This before Trump meets with Mark Rutte, who runs NATO. This because Trump has said regarding a meeting with Vladimir Putin, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that at all. I don't need to be a part about that. CNBC actually had a rather good headline. Russia was smug about Trump-Putin talks. Now they're on hold and Moscow is anxious. Trump holds the meeting with Putin in Anchorage and truly believed they were on to something. And then you have all the world leaders at the White House. And you know what the result of that meeting was? Nothing. Nothing except how much I fully enjoy Giorgia Meloni. My plan is to, next time I'm in DC, hope that she is in DC and just carry a carton of cigarettes with me so I can be like, thank you. She smokes. I'm a cigar smoker. I'm not a cigarette smoker, but she loves to smoke. And she clearly gets anxious when she's not smoking. And the eye rolling is so great. Oh, is she terrific? I don't know how she is as a leader of Italy, but everything else I'm super happy with. You have the meeting. Then you have the meeting with these world leaders, and nothing comes of it because no one actually trusts that Putin is going to live up to it. Then you had their inability in Russia to control their drones, and they went into Polish airspace, which got Poland to say, hey, Article 4. You know what Article 4 is in NATO? Article 4 is when you call your friend and be like, hey, get ready. Get ready for what? Just get ready. You know, what's the line? It's Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner. And Ben Affleck is, it goes, you can't ask a question. I need you to get ready. We're going to go hurt some people. And Jeremy Renner goes, whose car are we taking? I don't know the movie, and I'm paraphrasing it there, but that's it. That's Article 4. Article 5 is an attack on one, is an attack on all. And then Russia gets all sorts of snooty about Trump. And Trump says, well, if you're going to be snooty, you know what? I'm going to go support Vladimir Zelensky. You know, they could probably take the land back. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, all these areas to the east that tie down to Crimea. Oh, yeah, they could probably win all that land back. Oh, well, this is a 180 turn, because the turn was to apply pressure to Ukraine by not sending certain weapons to get them to agree to give up land so they can get this peace deal done. But now Russia won't even accept that. All right, we'll go the other way with it. Oh, Russia wants a meeting? I'm too busy for a meeting. I got no time for meetings. With Vladimir, I got things to do. I got ballrooms to create. You know, I have AI videos to make. I'm busy. Busy. By the way, you guys know I work part-time at McDonald's, right? I've been off for a while. You know, I've been on sabbatical. I got to get back there. Someone's got to make the fries. I got no time. I got no time for Vladimir. If he wants to go through the drive-thru and then talk to me for a little bit, I got a couple minutes. I'll chat with him. Otherwise, busy. So now you have no meeting, and possibly the Russians wondering what's going to happen next. And then you have the best story out there. The best story out there is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, he is going to be unveiling new guidance. This guidance is going to stress the importance of saturated fats. I'm sorry, what now? Here is what he said. Do love a good drum roll. New dietary guidelines that are common sense, that stress the need to eat saturated fats of dairy, of good meat, of fresh meat, and vegetables. When we release those, it will give everybody the rationale for driving it into our schools. And his argument is the data shows that Americans need more trans fats and saturated fats. Foods like butter, cheese, milk, and red meat have been unfairly demonized for decades.
Popular. You're gonna be popular.
Yes.
You're gonna
Popular
be
indeed.
popular.
Steak is good. Steak is delicious. By the way, defiancebeef.com. That's where I get my steaks. A sponsor of my Eat, Drink, Smoke radio show. Defiancebeef.com, delivered directly to you. Age 21 days. Spectacular. My order came in 53 pounds of ground beef in just a quarter cow. So good. Defiancebeef.com. And if you use promo code Eat, Drink, Smoke, you get $150 off your order. So go do that. This is good stuff. This is important stuff. Already, you know that people look at these recommendations from the government and they go, yeah, sure, whatever. You told me that coffee was bad for me. And then you said, oh, wait, coffee's fine. Then you told me that eggs are bad for me. And then you said eggs are fine. Red meat is good. It is. The issue, according to RFK, is that refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods are the culprits regarding an unhealthy diet, especially when we talk about obesity and inflammation. I am not a medical professional by any stretch. I have weight to lose. It has been a giant pain in my butt. The inflammation conversation, specifically sugar and inflammation. Inflammation is what leads to disease. I believe this completely. The enhanced sugar, the amount of sugar, this is what creates the issue. No question in my mind. None. Zero. It is absolutely the sugars, the processed food creates inflammation. Inflammation is what creates disease. Inflammation is what creates an unhealthy life. I believe this. You can do with the information what you will. You do not have to listen to me at all. I am not a medical professional, although I do love playing doctor, if only because I look really good in a white lab coat and nothing else. Steak is good. Steak is good. And we have to stop thinking that the things we were always told are somehow the things that are still real. And we have to stop thinking that just because it comes from the Trump White House or from RFK, that it's somehow wrong. Check with your doctor. Check with your doctor. That's all. Make the decision from there. But I like the moves being made here. And moms seem to really like the moves here. Getting rid of dyes, getting rid of chemicals in the food. These are good things. And there is a real movement happening here. Now, do I trust RFK? No. He's a leftist. I don't trust him. But he's certainly on this Maha argument, make America healthy again, has shown some success. Also, did I mention that steak is delicious? Because it is. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Steak is good. Steak is very good. And yes, defiancebeef.com. The burgers were so great. I'm grilling this weekend. I cannot wait. Age 21 days. Cut to your specifications. You go to defiancebeef.com and you use promo code Eat, Drink, Smoke. That's all you have to do. Use promo code Eat, Drink, Smoke. You get $150 off your order. Defiancebeef.com. Shipped right to you. Everything individually packaged, frozen, comes in the dry ice. Insulation was perfect. Came perfect. Boom, right in the freezer. Done. Pull it out, and off you go. Treating your family well. And the price, I thought, was right on. I am very, very pleased with what I ended up with. And I'm half cow next. Half cow next. That's what's coming. Defiancebeef.com is where you go. Use promo code Eat, Drink, Smoke and get your discount. Do that immediately. Love that you're all here. Love that you're a part of the show. We are trying to grow the show and build this out. If you've got any recommendations or thoughts, I'm all ears. Right? I can do the show part, but other people are better at the at maybe that marketing part. So if you have any thoughts, I'm listening right there to you, unquestionably. People are now sending me emails. Have you tried steak with butter? What? Yes. Don't tell my rabbi, but absolutely, unquestionably delicious. In every single way. I don't even know what kind of question that is, Landon. Some people, they ask weird questions. What do you want from me? Coming back to the show. What? Hold on a second. First, Dark Rogue, if you cook a steak right, you don't need butter, salt and pepper. That's it. I'm not saying you need butter. I'm saying butter's delicious. Secondly, give away free concert tickets. But I'm willing to take calls. I give out the number. Blame producer Landon for not putting them through. Good Lord. There was a story at News Nation about Walmart. And what Walmart said is, understanding the economic headwinds, they made a claim about their Thanksgiving meal basket. There are 20 items, some canned, some pre-made, some fresh, right? There's a turkey, there's potatoes, there's stuffing mix, fried onions. Fried onions. Tony Katz today, guys. Good to be with you. There's pie crust, boxed macaroni and cheese, and some other stuff. And the bundle is intended to feed 10 people at a price of under $4 a person. My question is, does anybody believe this to be true? I mean, do I have to now buy this bundle and see what I get and see if indeed it can be done? So I'm on the Walmart site. All right, I'll just put Thanksgiving bundle. All right, so let me see what exactly we get here. Well, why isn't it showing it to me? Bundle meal. Show me what I get. Show me the amount of food. Nope, it's not showing. So I don't even see it. I don't even see where this bundle meal is. If I put Thanksgiving bundle meal and you show me Stouffer's roast chicken, single serve, that's not it. That if you can find it, producer Landon. Oh, God, you're good with the Walmart site is what you are. You found it? Because does anybody believe this? Does anybody believe that you could No, that's the story. I want the actual bundle. I want what's in the actual bundle. So in 2024, the bundle they said was less than $7 a person. I don't know if I can feed 10 people for $40. I want to try it, but I want to know if anybody's done it. Has anybody ever gotten one of these and were they able to feed the family well? That's my curiosity. And also, I am curious with this economic scene, are people expected to spend less, spend more? Are they having less people for Thanksgiving so they can spend less? More Thanksgivings at home? Curious as to how they come to this and who's taking advantage of this and what it tells us. More is coming up. This is Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. I am curious whether or not that, like, first of all, is it good? Right? That would be my starting question. Is it good? And then how many people could you really feed from it? Oh, you did? All right, so here's what it contains. You get the butterball turkey. You get that, it's a 13.5-pound bird. Kinder's fried onions, Campbell's cream and mushroom soup, 1 can, stovetop turkey stuffing, twin pack. You get the great value, that's the Walmart brand dinner rolls, 12 count, 5 pounds of russet potatoes, 12 ounces of cranberry, 2 pounds of baby carrots, 3 cans of corn. These are canned corn, 3 cans of green beans, 3 boxes of mac and cheese, 2 boxes of the Walmart brand brown gravy mix, 2 pie crusts, a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, and 1 can of pure pumpkin. So you're still, providing the sugar or those other kinds of things, salt, pepper, etc. I want to try this. I want to try. And I have, because I usually don't do turkey for Thanksgiving. Well, yeah, of course there's a question of quality there, Tony. Of course there's a question of quality. There's a question of how much food it actually is, and then there's a question of quality. I want to see if I can actually make it work. Someone shared with me, because I usually do a brisket for Thanksgiving, and I still am. But I haven't done a fried turkey in a little over a decade. I'm like, I'm going to fry a turkey this year. I don't usually do turkeys. I'm going to fry a turkey this year. I do a pretty good fried turkey. It's been a long time, though. Someone said to me they were going to infrared fry a turkey, and I said, I don't know what that is. Charbroil sells an infrared turkey fryer. It's round. Put the turkey in it, hits it from all sides, fries the turkey, no oil. I bought it on the spot. So I'm testing it this weekend with a 6-pound chicken. I want to see if this worked, because nobody buys whole chickens anymore. You don't have to. You have Costco. We have turned the rotisserie chicken into a loss leader at all these places, and some of them do a really, really good job. So I want to see if it works. And if it works, it'll do up to 16 pounds. I'm going to try like a 15-pound, 14-pound turkey in this infrared fryer and see what happens. Very excited. See if this works. I appreciate you guys being here. More show is coming up at WIBC.com. You should go listen to that. I appreciate you being here. By the way, the whole idea of giving away concert tickets, I'm talking about how we expand the online audience. Radio audience, all is good. All is good. It's weird. I've always analog. I've always done outrageously well, and digital has always been this like weirdo spot. What are you talking about? Inconsistent. I do 2 hours. I do 12 to 2 every day. It used to be an hour and a half. I made it to 2 hours. I heard you. I don't think it has to be the full 3. 2 hours. 2 hours you can't build on? Come on now. Come now. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that one. It's not inconsistent. It has been constant for months now. So I'm not buying into that one. I just don't. Newsmax tonight at 6:20 is what it is. 6:20 is what it is. So check me out then. I appreciate you guys being here. Is the answer to everything just giveaway? I'll gladly. What do you need? What do you need, Molly? Give away some brisket. Well, now you're just being ridiculous. I don't need anybody that bad. Let's not be crazy. I appreciate you guys being here. I am back tomorrow at noon. Jason, I'm back tomorrow at noon. Like always. You guys are pretty fantastic. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of what we're building. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you then, guys. Take care.